Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the second of 5 interviews for the inaugural Women of Character event. I'm Deborah Harrington, the first woman to serve as the chairman of the Orange County Council of Boy Scouts of America in our rich 100-year history, and I'm delighted to be with you today. On behalf of our council, we are so thrilled to have you join us for this inaugural virtual event, and we hope that you will enjoy hearing the inspiring stories of the 2020 Women of Character honorees. Over a year ago, the Boy Scouts of America's organization opened the doors to young women to enjoy and to learn from our leadership and character development programs. Our desire in creating this event is to highlight influential women in our community, to provide an inspiration to our young women and to help prepare them for their futures. You will notice at the bottom of this video there is a link to support our mission in developing our future leaders. Please consider donating to our council. Normally we host several events throughout the year to raise donor-based funds to keep our mission going, but unfortunately this effort has been temporarily thwarted. Like many businesses and organizations, the impact of the coronavirus pandemic has had a profound effect on many levels, resulting in fewer donor funds coming into our organization. So again, if you can make a donation to our youth and our organization, both of which would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration. Today we are at one of the Orange County Council's flagship properties, the Newport Beach Sea Base, where year-round girls and boys learn oceanography, marine biology, environmental science, boating safety, rowing, canoeing, kayaking, and many other aquatic-related services. We will be speaking with our second Woman of Character honoree, Deidre Pujols, philanthropist, humanitarian, mother of 5, and wife of the famous Los Angeles baseball player Albert Pujols. Deidre truly exemplifies a woman of character. With her tremendous leadership and dedication to her humanitarian causes, we cannot wait to hear her story. Hello, Deidre, and welcome to the Newport Beach Sea Base. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we're absolutely honored to be able to recognize you as a woman of character and to be of our inaugural class. So if you're ready, let's get going on our questions.
Sure.
Okay. Well, in preparation of my role as the interviewee host, there are many articles and information that I had the pleasure of reading about you, and it spoke of the many causes that you're passionate about. And of that, there's one thing that resonated most with me, and that is your faith-based, family-based, driven purpose. And I'd like to explore that with you through some of the questions that we prepared for you today. I've often said that there's one thing to have faith, but to live by faith is completely different. And sometimes it's challenges that bring that into us to make that distinction, or what I get a sense from you of all the reading I've done, that's innate of who you are, a service soul, if you will. It has been written about you that your favorite Bible verse is Luke 12:48, and I love this. But to whom much is given, much is required. What role has your faith played in defining your life purpose, and at what point in your life did you recognize for yourself that that is going to be your driving force, that passion in your life?
Sure. Well, that's a great question, because I feel like I've been put here, we all have been put here for a purpose. And being able to identify what that is or can be a challenge for some people. And so in my early life, I lived a bit reckless and careless with my life. I had moments of like really tremendous doubt if my life was even purposeful or why was I put here. And I just remember in those desperate moments as a young person really trying to cry out for help to God about why he put me here. And so I was fairly young when I got to really connect in my relationship with the Lord and figure out my purpose here on earth. I had a daughter with Down syndrome. Her name's Isabella. She's 22 now. But that really kind of set the course for my faith. I often tell people my story, and when I share with them, I say to them that I was physically pregnant with a child who was growing inside my womb, but I spiritually became pregnant in my faith. And what I mean by that is I truly got to a most desperate point in my life where God really was going to be the only one to help me if that was going to be the case. And so I grew and fell in love with the Lord, and I kind of was growing this baby at the same time. So when she was born and I was alone, it was the first time that I had my audible encounter with the Lord. And you know, some people are going to hear this and it'll register with them, and some people maybe still aren't on the same page, but this is my experience. And by that experience really kind of thrusted me into a stronger and deeper relationship with, like, okay, my life is valuable. It didn't happen right away. It didn't happen right away. I met my husband, you know, Albert, who plays for the Angels, and is one of the most celebrated baseball players in our generation. But early in his career, I remember how many people started to just really reach out, and they would want something from us, or they were trying to get us to do things, and we just had a lot of people trying to pull on us. So in that moment, answers your question, it was in that moment where I had to tell Albert, we better know what we stand for, or we are going to fall for anything. Absolutely. And that set the course for us to know, well, we know that we want to stand for our faith. And in that place has been, you know, here we are 22 years later, really 20 in baseball, but that was the place where we had to define what we were going to stand for.
That's exceptional. People can't see it, but I've got chills. It's a beautiful testament to your life. Thanks. And what drives you. And because we have the backdrop that we do with sailboats going by, I often quote in some business context that, you know, you've got to chart your course. You've got to know where you're going, because if you put your sail up and you don't know where you're going, that wind will take you wherever it wants to go. So what a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's an understatement to say that you have made an incredible impact on the community on both a local and international level. Please tell us about your 3 different organizations that I'm aware of, and if there's more to the breadth of your commitment, I'd love to hear it, but I will announce them to our audience. There's Open Gate International, Strikeout Slavery, which just, my heart automatically drops, so I can't wait to hear about that. And then your own family foundation, the Pujols Foundation. How they came to be, what's your vision for them, and I'm going to pack a lot of questions and you can approach any which one you want. But what are you trying to achieve with them? What's your focus and what drives you?
So I'll start with the Pujols Family Foundation.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Pujols Family Foundation has 2 dominant missions. One is to impact the lives of people with Down syndrome and their families. And that obviously is because of my daughter, Isabella. And the other mission is to help impoverished families in the Dominican Republic, which is my husband's native land. So we created that in 2005. It has been a most remarkable organization to watch grow and to see the lives that have been impacted by the efforts of the team who runs the organization, as well as the community, because we exist to serve our communities. And so we partner closely with families. But we have been able to use our experience with Bella as an opportunity to inspire, encourage, create awareness. Oftentimes people don't know enough about Down syndrome even today with all that's available to us with information. People are still missing information, and so instead of you know, deciding to have children with Down syndrome, they make alternative choices, or you know, perhaps adoptions and different things because they're scared and they're fearful. And I was a young 20-year-old when I was pregnant with Bella, so when she was born, I was not expecting that. And it's really important that that moment of my life is able to identify with these families who are now coming into having new babies with Down syndrome, because it is it can be a scary moment, and you don't know what to do, and you don't have all the information. So we try to be an organization that really provides people with, first, celebrating life, and then also information, making sure that people get their fears squashed because they know more. And so, and then we also want to celebrate, you know, we want to celebrate, we have proms and we have bowling and we have mom and daughter opportunities, we have father-son opportunities, we have where we just take the parents, you know, and celebrate them and give them a break. So these are things that are important to us and that we've been able to kind of cultivate through our own experience. So that is, and then of course we have the part of the organization where we do the work in the Dominican Republic. So, oh my gosh, we've literally taken an entire kind of slum community and transformed it. I mean, first here, because, you know, we can't necessarily take them out of their poverty per se, but we can get the poverty out of here, which makes them want to focus on the betterment of their communities, the betterment of their health, their life, their parenting, you know. their schooling, all of that stuff. And so, Albert's built baseball fields. I started bed programs, micro businesses. We bring lots of doctors every year to provide services that the people wouldn't have. So we've just tried to, and we take that from like kind of village to village, and we just try to service as many people as possible. We have had really great opportunities to even save lives a couple of times with kids that we found who were really terminal. And we were able to bring them to the States, heart surgeries or, the different kind of things, and get them well. And they're still alive today. So this has really been a pretty remarkable organization to watch grow and to be a part of. So that's Pujols Family Foundation. Wow. And again, these are things that are close to our heart. I'm not trying to start organizations that I don't have somehow a relationship to, and I am able to identify in these spaces. So this is what we do there. In 2016, Strikeout Slavery and Open Gate International were two programs that were started because of what I had experienced when I traveled around the world and studied human trafficking. And Strikeout Slavery was started because I realized that Major League Baseball was not doing anything to educate our fan base communities or where we have baseball stadiums, those immediate communities, with educating them. And so I decided to take this idea of having a family festival at a ball game with a concert and try to form an alliance of organizations together to come inside the stadium and help just reach fans, a whole nother type of population that maybe has not heard about this issue. Right. And a lot of human trafficking in the United States actually is around sporting events. And so this was a good opportunity for us to kind of pilot what this would look like. And so I got some really amazing groups of organizations together, and we had a family festival inside the stadium at the Angel Stadium. We provided information and giveaways. We had DJs and face painters and balloon people. I mean, we really made it a festival atmosphere because oftentimes people don't understand human trafficking, and they might think, young girl in the alley of Asia with a foreigner, and just this really creepy image. And now that is an image and it's real, but that isn't all of it. And so we really wanted to try to help just create more awareness in our communities of what is going on in the human trafficking world. It's not just sex trafficking, it's labor trafficking, there's immigrant trafficking. There literally is like 27 types of different trafficking, of which I couldn't even name them all. But I decided that something needed to be done in sports because of our platform. So we had one festival the first year in 2017, two the following year in 2018, and then 3 festivals last year in 2019. And of course, in 2020, we're just now trying to start baseball again, and there won't be fans in the stadium. So unfortunately, we won't be that. But when there's crisis, there's creativity, and people get creative about how they navigate through ways of life. And that's what we've done with Strikeout Slavery. So now we're working on initiatives to try to continue to educate the community, especially fans in sports and in baseball, about the new issues that are even happening with human trafficking in different capacities. So these are the things that we're really, staying focused on. Now, hopefully 2021 opens us back up to a real season, and we're able to kind of get back in those stadiums, as it will be Albert's last year, most likely, and maximize our platform and maximize the roles that we have in the community. So that is Strikeout Slavery. That was really amazing. We were able to target and reach billions of people through mass media and social media. So just to get people, wanting to learn more. I often tell people, if you're not doing anything, you're just part of the problem.
Absolutely.
And part of that anything is just having knowledge, having the information. So that is how Strikeout Slavery came to be. Open Gate International really started at the same time as Strikeout Slavery, but Open Gate International was really birthed out of what I saw there was a gap in the human trafficking kind of world, which was I saw organizations who were doing an amazing job rescuing people out of trafficking. I saw them doing an amazing job with the rehabilitation, but I saw a gap and a real need of how to take all of these people who have come out of this life and survived this life and properly train them and put them into the workforce. So we created Open Gate International as an opportunity that we could train people in the culinary arts industry, train them properly, and help get them into the workforce through jobs in our community. So in Orange County, which is our headquarters, it's our flagship program, we have to date graduated 138 students. We had I think it was like 84% that was still employed after we go back and check on them.
That's great.
So the reason it's a culinary arts program is because it's been my passion my whole life, and I've got to study with some amazing chefs and had some really amazing, just food encounters and food opportunities in my life. So it was a passion, and all over the world this works. Food works.
Yes.
Food's there. Restaurants are there. Hotel industry's there. Different opportunities in that job space, I guess. And so this is what we've created. And now Open Gate International is in its third year. And we just launched our sustainable component, which is a cafe in Orange County called Open Gate Kitchen. And the idea of the kitchen was set 3 years ago as we designed it, because I knew that I wanted to create a sustainable component to the organization. I don't want to have to always just keep chasing funding, but I wanted to be able to bring the funding in-house, and that was through a cafe. So we're able to hire graduate students. We are able to now extend our school program to 3 weeks of on-the-job training in our own cafe. And so these are just things that are kind of working in our favor. But like I said, we just launched a cafe, so we'd love to have you there sometime.
I would love it.
And come and visit us. But we have, out of this program, we've been able to launch relationship culinary partners in Mexico City, in Cambodia, in India, and in Moldova. We have several programs. And hopefully, before the year's up, we'll be able to launch in another Eastern European country called Belarus. And then in 2021, my hope is that we build a program in Uganda with a partner organization. So the hope is that, we really kind of created this model that works. And we modify it based on culture and, food, ingredients, and all these things that, need to meet the people where they're at. But it's been pretty amazing. Like, some of the most amazing stories have come out of these organizations' efforts. Watching people who, well, I should backtrack a little bit. We designed Open Gate International for the idea that we would take in human trafficking survivors. So if it was labor trafficking or sex trafficking, whatever type of trafficking somebody might have been in. But as we built relationships in Orange County, we realized that so many other organizations needed help as well, taking people who have been transformed and putting them back into community. And so we actually have people who have come out of incarceration come through our program. We have people who are coming out of homelessness. Matter of fact, I got a beautiful text today from the executive director of our organization sharing photos of an apartment of a 52-year-old student that had graduated our program some years, actually maybe a couple years ago. Kind of fell off, and things got rocky, but he pulled it back together. We've hired him at Open Gate Kitchen. And he just, she said it's been like 21 years since he's had his own place, because he was living in homelessness. So he has his own apartment, and we could not be more thrilled for like life transformation moments like that. So we also have young people who are aging out of the foster care system that don't have opportunities. We also have domestic violence victims, our survivors. We have students who are coming from just the veteran world. Oftentimes they're in need of proper training and job placement as well. One of the most important components, I should say, about Open Gate International when we're teaching our culinary school is the life skills component. So oftentimes these people are coming from traumatic backgrounds, or maybe just don't have value, identity, purpose. They're just losing some stuff. Some might be completely broken, and we're helping walk them back into healing of some sort. So the life skills program really is the most important part for me, and for the organization, and for the person, the student, even if they don't know it. I will always tell the first day of the first class in each session, you guys are here so that you make sure you know who you are, why you are, and what you are here to be doing. And we're going to help teach you that. So it's really about getting them to know who they are more, how to continue their healing, and then they get to learn how to cook, and they'll go into the workforce. So it's really quite remarkable. And I have to tell you, and maybe I'll answer some more questions as I speak, but one of the most significant reasons why this is important to me, meeting people where they're at, no matter how broken, is I was there. I was born to 2 teenage parents. Albert was born in a third world country. And once we locked in with our destiny and purpose, and you know, we made some mistakes, but we learned from those mistakes and we stepped into destiny. It was such a different life after that.
What a tremendous gift you've given all of us. I feel just so blessed to be here and hearing your story and what drives you. I often say that, you know, when you are faced with challenges, you can either rise above it. There's one thing to survive, but to thrive is completely different. And you have taken that, not only that survival, helping these people that are so vulnerable, whatever that influence was, to make them there and help them thrive and find their own identity. I had the occasion to talk to a young abused girl in her first love relationship, and it nearly broke her. He was telling her to commit suicide, that her life wasn't anything. She had a strong family unit, so she had some sort of core strength and she had her faith, but almost all of that in that abusive relationship was stripped from her. And she ended up writing her essay, because I had the privilege of reading it, to enter college, and said, I will never let anybody define me again. It's up to me to define me. And that's just my little story relative to the full breadth of what you shared with us and what drives you in helping these vulnerable people. But I agree with you. We all are born into our life circumstances. What we choose to do with that is really that defines who we're going to be in the future. And that's what I love the scouting program, because we don't know the backgrounds of all these people. We don't know their social or economic background. We don't know their influences. But some people need this guidance. These are the foundations of what we can help people be strong leaders. You and your husband lead by example. Through the 3 entities that you just mentioned here, any one of those would be so powerful. And I love the foundation. The Family Foundation is a wonderful vehicle when you have significant wealth to channel that interest. But it's also a wonderful infrastructure to help your own children see what drives you and your husband, Albert, and what emphasis you put on giving back. And it's a wonderful, wonderful spokesperson to what your values are. So I'm just so thrilled to be here with you. So we do have a few more questions. Sure. All of them are enlightening to all of us. The next one's going to speak to you as a mother. As a mother of 5 and having been involved in scouting at a young age, how do you believe scouting has influenced you as a humanitarian, mother, and wife?
I had incredible experiences in scouting. Like some of my fondest childhood memories are camping and you know, working, a lot of team building, you know, all types of new experiences that they were just trying to introduce to young people. And then one of the most significant things is, as an adult, my mom found, I think, either my Brownie badge or my Girl Scout badge. And even as an adult, like the thrill it gave me to just kind of reflect what it meant to me as a kid, like all those memories kind of just come back. But I remember, you know, in the Scouts we have the badges, and then you can earn your different badges. And it was so important to me as a kid to, we had this book, and the book would tell you what you need to accomplish to get the badge. And that was such a pivotal moment, I think, in the sense of when you work to get something. So for me, it was a simple principle, but it very much has kind of followed me into my adult life, because there were so many lessons learned early on in my scouting life. The scouting life really just, it was a kind of an opportunity to get introduced to different ways, challenging thinking, team building. All of those things are foundational for who I've become in general. Absolutely. You know, how I run my organizations, how I run the marriage or the family, and my faith. I mean, all of it comes from years of being in the Scouts and opportunities that were presented to me, you know, to get to do each day. So
Outside of an honoree, you're a great spokesperson for
Yeah.
the principles and the values that are driven from Scouting. So thank you for sharing that. And like yourself, I think most kids at a young age want that positive reinforcement. They want to see symbolic, if you will, recognition for their effort. And I think the Scouting, like you described, does that beautifully as well. It's a cliche, but you lead by example, and a beautiful example to these people. And your altruistic heart to serve the Lord, and you found your voice through your own challenges or what's important to you. That is so impactful. I mean, the lives you're changing is just, it's so impressive. I'm just honored to be here with you. Okay, one of my favorite Bible verses is 2 Corinthians 12:9. She gave herself grace because she knew he was strong in her weakness. So when I've gotten to those points in my life where I'm on my knees in prayer saying, I can't find my way, Lord, help me. That's one that I remember, that I don't have to be strong. He is for me and will lead me. With this verse in mind, what is the toughest decision that you had to make that impacted your life?
That would have to be when my daughter was born. Because in that moment, when I was pregnant with Bella physically, and I was spiritually pregnant with just this newfound love in Christ, and I had her, and they laid her on my chest. This is pretty much my testimony, really. But when they laid her on my chest, we were still connected, and I heard the voice of God say that she had Down syndrome, but only in a still small voice like he can. It wasn't some lightning bolt moment.
Right.
Now, that was new for me. I'd never heard his voice before. And so I even said something to the doctor, like, didn't she look different? And I knew what Down syndrome was. I've worked with people with special needs in the past. I have a cousin who has Down syndrome. Like I was, but when I looked at her and I heard there was a connection, but I didn't, it was like an unfamiliar language almost.
Yes.
So I said to the doctor, like, didn't she look different? And he said, well, she was just smashed for 12 hours. And I was like, okay, yeah. But when one of my parents walked in the room, after one of the nurses had noticed some signs,
Right.
and they went out of the room. When one of my parents walked in, I think it was my dad, he didn't look at me, he just walked to the window, and I knew by his, just his body language that what I had heard was probably true. So we had a moment, where I'm like, what? Like it was a lot of confusion. But after a day or two settled, it was a time where I realized, okay, this is either going to be like that bad boyfriend relationship where you just lied to me and promised me all these things.
Right.
You told me all these amazing things about who I was. And then
now?
you tricked me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go on my way. No, thank you, God. We'll get it from here. Or I'm going to go, I have no idea what you're doing or why you would do this to me. Like I kind of still had that victim mentality.
Sure.
But I'm going to trust you anyway. And that's the path I took. And I remember it was Thanksgiving of 1997, November 26th, 1997, there and abouts. Everyone had left me in my hospital bed, and I just remember talking to God, like, I don't know what you're doing or if this was meant for me, but you better show up quick. And,
Yes.
And,
So powerful.
and so that was really a pivotal moment for me. And of course there was some things, lots of therapy and learning and processes. And for the first 3 years, it was just raising this child and getting to know her. But like I said, when Albert went to the big leagues and people found out we had a child with Down syndrome, that's when we were kind of pulled into that space, and they needed an ambassador. So we quickly took on the role in St. Louis. But that moment for me, it was pivotal and necessary. And I'm so grateful because here we are 22 years later, and thousands upon thousands of people and their families have been impacted because I had her.
Story.
It had nothing to do with me, really. It was about how God was going to use her life anyway.
Exactly.
Even if she was born, from what I consider like out of wedlock, or some people say. But I committed myself to him when I got pregnant because I realized I was going to be responsible for another human being, and I wanted to honor her life.
Wow.
So there was a lot of stuff that happened in that space as a young person that set the tone for where we are today, or why I believe what I believe, or just what I stand for.
Incredible story once again. You have led numerous movements, and your husband has led his baseball team to many wins and pennants over his career. How have you both helped each other follow your respective dreams and supported your collective passion?
Oh gosh. Well, our passion is people. I mean, honestly, it's our family and it's people. We have lived a life of tremendous sacrifice in the sense of our time. I think, and I don't even want to say our time. It's a gift. Time is a gift, and I think there was a lot of learning in the early years. It was not easy, but it molded us. It shaped us. I think our greatest reward is being able to give back. Albert is one of his greatest gifts is discipline. He is one of the most disciplined people I know in his personal life and in his professional life as a baseball player. He is extremely respected, and now I like to say that we're like prehistoric in baseball now. We're like probably some of the oldest, of all of baseball family. And he is so respected. So when he goes in the locker rooms now as a 40-year-old, and you have 20-year-old kids who have just come up in a whole nother mindset. These are the millennials, and they have all their tech. We didn't have any of that.
No.
They button up in front of somebody like Albert because, one, he's proven himself on the field, on the playing field, and two, he is known for his discipline, and he's known for his humility. And so I honor him in that, not just because I'm his wife, but because I'm a witness to it for 22 years. He's been one of the most consistent people I've watched in my life. And this is without having a proper mom and dad example. So that's when you really know somebody's on the inside of their gift, when they just know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and as a father, not necessarily having the best example to model.
Right.
And these kids, we have 5 of them. They don't come with instruction manuals.
No.
But I consider the Bible my instruction manual. So really learning how to parent and to be a good spouse, to be a good parent. I mean, these are the places where we dive in to get our grounding, how we're to treat each other. So, so I think Albert and I would have to say just, some of our greatest reward is being able to know the impact we made. And Albert often is quoted when he does interviews, when they're asking him, like, what is it going to be for you? What's the top? Like, what is the most, what can something mean the most to you? And he'll say, like, I want to be known for who I was in the community and for giving back. My numbers are there, and that's great. But, I mean, like, I don't want to be known for that. I want to be known for the human being I was to other people. And that's significant because not a lot of people think like that.
No.
So I think we have a lot of work left to do. It'll be interesting because our whole life has only been baseball. Since I've known him, he was in high school playing baseball, and then we've been in professional baseball for 20 years. So it'll be interesting the kind of endeavors we get to pursue. I know it'll all be philanthropic, if we're building, if he's building hitting clinics or doing something, there will always be a give back purpose to it. So we'll see what happens, but it has been quite a journey.
Wow. You're a unit, a family unit, and you as a husband and wife just transcends your words. You can get that sense that you both have integrity for the family unit, your faith, and what you both drive to do, and that comes across, because just to even make it to a major league in baseball, whatever the sport may be, takes a significant amount of discipline. But to arrive at the level he did without the framework of the family that's supportive and foundation, just it speaks volumes to who he is as a person. And what a wonderful gift he's given your own family for role models to your children, as you have. So it's nice to hear his story too. I've not had the pleasure of interviewing him. He's just a legend like you are. Okay, so the next question I have is, what personal values or governing principles do you pride yourself in having that help you stay true to who you are, to your family and in your service to God?
Well, when I speak often, especially to crowds, the days we had crowds, I really am quite transparent. I'm very real, and I know that because I get that statement a lot after I speak. Is people are like, "Wow, thank you for sharing. Like you're so real and whatever," and that is the only way I know how to be. You know, if I cannot connect with somebody because they think I'm so high and mighty, or I live up here above them or something, like that is not okay to me. So in answering your question, I want people to know there have been great trials and struggles in our relationship, in our professional life, you know, in the media world, in parenting. We've been able to be challenged just the same as everybody else. And but I think what we try to do is not let those challenges define us, but sharpen us, you know. And one of the things that I really kind of chant around my house to my kids and to my husband, especially because they're the people that direct me, that affect me the most, is, you know, let's not just be as good as our circumstances are going. Let's not live against what we know. Let's not let somebody else's sin create sin in us if we're being challenged by somebody else. You know, let's not make all the tornadoes around us turn us into a tornado. Let's make sure that our faith is our foundation. We're going to stand on that. So even if things are going wild around us, we're going to practice just steadfastness. We're going to practice stillness. We're going to practice patience. We're going to live the life we say we believe. And oftentimes, and this has been a practice, like this isn't something anybody masters. It's a practice of always being consistent in that. So we're always striving for consistency in those areas of, we're challenged. We hear bad news too. We have challenges in our marriage. We have challenges in our parenting. And people need to know that because it has not been easy. No. And there have been tremendous sacrifices. And so I feel like for somebody who might see this, you know, that could even be a connection point. Maybe they don't have a connection with Down syndrome or the third world or, you know, sex trafficking, but maybe somebody's struggling in their marriage, or maybe they're struggling in finances or struggling in whatever. We really have walked out those things. Absolutely. And I know I'm giving a long answer to your question, but I feel like this is the connecting point. People really need to understand, hey man, I lived a life that I worked 3 jobs. I had a child with disabilities and supported this young kid who was in college or high school until he made it into the big leagues. You know, I've been on government assistance because we didn't have funding. I've wrote checks in church out of faithfulness because I had nothing at home, and the Lord never, not once, did not show up with some kind of money in my hand when I needed it. If it was for food, if it was for medical, if it was just to pay a bill, whatever it was. And so I take those same practices that he trusted me with little, and I bring them into a space where he trusted with us with a lot. But at the end of the day, I know it doesn't belong to me. You know, when we go to heaven, when we die, when we leave this earth, I can't just pack it all up and take it, right? So I have to be really mindful of whose things I'm stewarding.
I also think too that the fact that you are so transparent and you're so honest with who you are and what drives you, that altruism comes through with everything that you say, but you live your life that way. I think that money becomes an object for that achievement alone. And what I hear from you is you've kept true to who you are, you don't take anything for granted, and you remind yourself daily of your purpose. And your servant heart comes through with everything you do and say. I'm just so honored to have this time with you.
Thank you.
We just have a couple more questions for you, and they are continually surrounded by God and family. As an inspiring woman of faith, what do you wish for women and for our female youth as they go forward charting their own path in life? And the reason I keep speaking of women is because honoring you as a woman of character and acknowledging the challenges that you've had, how you not only overcame, but you give back in such a tremendous way. How do young people become leaders themselves? You gave us a couple examples of how you were different aspects of your life really left a lasting impression on you, helped shape, mold you who you are. But what advice would you like to pass on to young women of today to be that impactful leader in their own world?
Sure. I think identity is probably one of the most important things, like knowing who you are and whose you are, because it will really be, you know, what governs your decisions. And that means, like, when you're a young girl and you're developing and you decide what you want relationships to look like, you'll know how to make those decisions. And then once you become a family woman or career-based woman, you'll know how to govern those different, and you have to have discernment. You know, you have to be able to know how to manage. Albert and I were just kind of thrust into the life, so we learned how we learn best on the job. We learned on the job, but being able to identify like self is so important, because it allows us to live a life that, me personally speaking as a woman, there was a lot of many years that I lived a life that was really kind of like the leaf in the wind, you know, however things were going was how great I felt. And that doesn't honor the faith-based life, a believer's life. A believer's life is consistent, and that means that I know who I am all the time, and I won't let circumstances or someone decide who I was going to be. And I did that for a long time, you know, but I don't live that now. And if I slip back into that space, I am not there long, because I don't want to be that person. I want to know who I am, what I stand for, who I stand for. I think it's important to realize, like, life is a gift. So when people are going to talk about you, well, you have left such a mark that they actually need to write, that they need to put something on your tombstone. We change the world by caring about one person at a time.
Absolutely.
And leaving our influence on the inside of that person. When I meet somebody, I'm depositing seeds of wisdom and seeds that I have on the inside of me into that person, so that hopefully it grows in them something new. So these are, you know, I hope to just continue to keep doing and building and being able to steward my life.
And lastly, when we talk about women, is there a woman leader today, or is there somebody that really was your role model that helped guide you?
Well, one fun character that I'm kind of known for is Wonder Woman.
Oh, I love it.
So I have a huge collection of Wonder Woman items. Wonder Woman came out in 1976, or actually a little before, but that was the year I was born. So she was fresh on the scene when I was just a little girl. So I kind of, you know, had fun with her while I was a kid, and then later in life just kind of picked up that narrative again. And so I became a pretty avid Wonder Woman collector, and I ask artists to do, you know, I commission them to do different pieces for me. So it's so funny because people have kind of come to know me for that, and everyone will say, "Ah, I can't see Wonder Woman without thinking of you," or they'll be somewhere and see a Wonder Woman something and send me a picture like thinking of you, like, or whatever. So it's been kind of fun to have that. But I think, oh my gosh, you know, my mom, we kind of have this little running joke about my mom and dad were not married at first when I was born, and they were just kids. And my mom told me the story for years of how we were living in a small apartment at the top of somebody's house, and it was just her and I together. And she ate the moldy bread, or she took the moldy bread and had to tear off the pieces and gave me the good pieces of bread. And so we kind of have a joke about that I bought her a house and all kinds of things. Just, I was like, "Mom, that moldy bread that was a seed you sowed, you know, and that was a sacrifice you made." And so, of course, I want to bless her and honor that, because I know. But my mom is one of the most loving, kind, patient, uplifting, encouraging, and supportive women I know in my life. And I'm happy she had me young, because now I get to enjoy her longer. And I've been able to meet even to the greats of my families on both sides, because my parents were so young when they had me. So my mom, I really honor her when I think about women. And then just somebody who I never got to meet, but who I really appreciate the value and the legacy that she left was Mother Teresa. I love reading about her. I love encounters that she had with people that were transformative. I love her philosophies, and I love how she loved the broken people. And I didn't mention this earlier, but Open Gate really is an acronym, and it is for who we serve. And I feel like that Open stands for the oppressed, powerless, endangered, and neglected populations, and then GATE stands for a global alternative of training and employment. So when I felt like that name was downloaded to me, that was the acronym I got. When I talk about the oppressed, powerless, endangered, and neglected populations, I really think of Mother Teresa, because this was the people she chose to live with and serve. And service is such a critical point of a real leader. And I think there's such a blessing in serving somebody else. That's why I am so crazy and passionate about the idea of going into underdeveloped and third world countries, into the worst of the worst places. And I prefer to be there over any billionaire's table, unless he's writing me a check to go back there.
There you go,
and to build
you.
a community. Because honestly, there's something that happens on the inside of us when we lay everything we think we know, lay everything we have down to go and give a part of who we are into another life, especially if we've done it on the other side of the world, let alone in our backyards and to our neighbors, So, so really, Mother Teresa, and my mom, and Wonder Woman.
And Wonder Woman. Oh my goodness. Well, you are the most perfect example of what we're talking about today, to be a woman of character, led by faith, passionate by your own drive for what you want to accomplish. I didn't even know what the meaning of Open Gate was. I thought it was more of a spiritual, that you're going to breathe new life in them like the Lord breathes in us, because you're giving them skill sets to survive on their own and empowering them. I had an aunt, a great aunt, that she never married, and she went to Haiti, and she created the first church in Haiti. So we used to go there a couple times. And for me, as you talked about traveling, that is one of the most precious gifts we can give one another, is to understand and appreciate other people's culture and to help them where they need that help in their way. And you are just the most exemplary example of that. And even though this concludes our time together, I can't thank you, because your impact will resonate with me for a lifetime. And I'm sure all of our audience. You're a wonderful honoree. Welcome to that class of women.
I'm grateful,
thank you. As our first class, and you are a woman of character, and we are so blessed to have you today. Thank you for your gift of time.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deidre, for your time today. And again, congratulations on being one of our Women of Character inaugural class. And to our audience, if you're in a position to help support our programs and our scouting mission, please follow the link below to donate to the Orange County Council Boy Scouts of America. All donations are greatly appreciated and will help young women and men on their personal journey of development and acquiring strong leadership skills that will help create the foundation of their life course. Thank you for joining us today. We hope that you can join us again tomorrow at the same time as we talk to our third honoree, Kelly Velasquez Hanks, President and CEO of Earth Friendly Products.